Okay, I think we're live.
Hey, this meeting is being live streamed. Hope you didn't hear
We're
my
live.
YouTube video in the background. This meeting is being live streamed. Hope you didn't. See, I'm hearing it now.
But how do I? Oh shit! It has the Berkeley. Uh,
The thing in the background? I don't
it
see
has the
Berkeley on
Berkeley water
yours.
stamp mark. That
That
won't get me trouble.
probably not the way.
Whoops! I don't know how to do this stuff. I wonder how Side does it.
Well, he has a different program, right?
Yeah. Um, how do I delete the other one that I created?
The one
Damn.
right now? The video you just created? Are
The
we
one
still?
I had on before. Let's see. Uh, yeah, I don't know. Whatever. But I can't even see the chat,
Why would you see chat? You mean for YouTube?
the YouTube chat.
Oh yeah.
Whatever.
I don't know how you're operating with it. Are we still live?
We are definitely live.
Hey.
Um, so uh so you were what were we gonna we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, it's been an exciting
Yeah.
like a week and a half or so since we did the last one with your brother.
Hmm.
Uh the Kuminga trade, the Slater article, some Kawakami comments. We got a reader email that I think we were going to
Hmm.
respond to. Um there's there's so much in this beautiful All-Star weekend of just
Hmm.
high quality NBA uh content.
All right. We do have a problem with we need to set up so we can see us both.
Oh, it only shows you.
It's only showing the speaker.
Hmm. Do you have it on grid view
How do
or
I
you
do
have it
that?
on gallery view instead of speaker view?
Where do would
On
that be?
Zoom on your upper right, it'll say view.
Yes.
There's gallery and there's multi-speaker. Multi-speaker puts us side by side. We are
Okay.
not a
There
professional
we go.
podcast.
It's all good. We only got 57 subscribers. They know we're just chilling.
I like the desire to hold at 57.
No, we're at 58 because
58.
Frank
Oh,
joined
they
us.
ruined it.
No, we're at 58 because Frank, 63-year-old Frank, had a great call and we allowed him in
Nice.
last week. Yeah. I only want people who agree with us to join.
We're like the Steve Kerr administration and the Warriors. If you're not
Yeah.
on board already, then you gotta go. And we're
Yeah.
not gonna hear it any other way.
Yeah. If you don't agree, just take it. You go elsewhere, man. Oh,
If you don't agree, you're not a good fit.
did you see the Light Years tweet? The Sam
Sam.
Estefari um
Yeah.
said that um on Twitter that he reacted to Slater's comment that a bunch of Warriors fans are going to be interested to see the Hawks first few games and the Hawks are going to have like a ratings bump,
Yeah, and
which
that league
is totally
pass.
yeah,
Yeah.
and he said that that uh
The
the hot
funniest part was Kuminga fans having league pass, being able to
right that
afford league pass or something like
Kuminga
that.
fans are too poor to have league pass. Did you see that he
Yeah.
said that?
Well, I'm really happy he did, frankly. Because this is stuff that you've said on Sideshow and that we've discussed privately, like kind of saying the loud or the quiet part out loud about
Hmm.
what the shape and the kind of dog whistling of this conversation has been around Kuminga the entire time. The insinuations that he's stupid and emotional and unreasonable, which have very much aligned with him being, a darker black man on the team.
Hmm.
The difference between the Peninsula crowd and the East Bay crowd and all that stuff. I'm glad he just came out and said it,
Yeah.
frankly.
They
Like, let's just be
Evan
clear who you are and where you coming from.
Evan, they said that like when he was a rookie that they started a rumor that his attitude was so bad that it was similar to Allen Iverson's bad attitude.
Oh, that's
Like
right.
he just said that out of freaking nowhere. It was a joke. And my favorite part of that show is they'll admit to their viewers, literally to their face, that they're not watching very closely. They miss a whole third quarter because they got to make dinner for a kid or something like that.
Yeah.
But um, that it when he said that, it reminded me of a take I had. I brought it up in August on Cyrus's show that in the Bay Area, you know how there's kind of like a liberal, moderate perspective on anti-intellectualism that led to Donald Trump being elected.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it's stupid, uneducated people that went that direction, and it's kind of an elitist perspective. But in the Bay Area, to critique the coach has
Oh, it's
become the intellectual or the anti-intellectual position. So here, if you're smart, college
you don't.
educated,
Yeah. 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 You
you
don't
would
critique the
never
coach.
critique the coach. That's
But that's in
stupid.
line though.
Yep.
I think that's in line with the moment. That's the whole Blue MAGA movement, right? Like that's people who are
Mm,
like anybody who it was no, it was first people who tried to lay out that Biden may have weaknesses
mm,
that need to be considered with his age and his decline and whatever like that. And then once that actually got resolved and Kamala was the candidate, it was like, okay, okay, we'll agree that that might have been something worth thinking about, but like, don't be critiquing Kamala, don't you do it. Uh, and then of course she doesn't beat Donald Trump, a historically incredibly unpopular candidate. Um, and then even in the follow-up of, like, the post-mortem of what happened with that, there's still a ton of people who are like, yeah, if you have critiques for Kamala, like, no, she wasn't perfect, but if you're coming after her, then you're just either A, anti-intellectual, or you're lazy, or you're just too radical to be taken seriously and unwilling
mm,
to compromise on anything in life, right? But it's never just like this is a thoughtful critique and maybe it should be taken into account if you want to win the next time.
hmm.
Not
Right.
never, but like among this group. So that's very similar to the people who defend Steve Kerr, like above all. It's just like you can't it's impossible to thoughtfully critique him. It's like he doesn't have the roster. It's he's doing the best he can. It's like the people who disagree with him that are on the team are either incredibly don't know anything about basketball like Joe Lacob or really emotional and childish and poor coded like Jonathan Kuminga.
Yeah, totally. It's like any thoughtful critique of Kerr and the system is just anti-intellectual. That you're too stupid to even understand the great nuances and limitations of coaching, that it's a knee-jerk reaction
Yeah.
to just blame the coach. Like you're not willing to look at players, you just
You
blame
don't
the
know
coach.
spacing.
Right, right, right.
All that
You don't
stuff.
realize all the tough things the coach is dealing with. And you know, I I find that so abhorrent because it's actually the reverse.
Yeah.
It's people who unequivocally say 4 championships means he is a saint and he is above critique and anything he does is perfect, that there's no way he could possibly do wrong. That's actually the anti-intellectual position. That's
Agreed.
actually the position that is completely thoughtless and devoid of any critical thinking skills, you know?
Yeah, so let me lay out this path for people who may be listening or watching. You and I had slightly different paths to getting to this place. You were
Hmm.
ahead of me on the curve on this, and uh I was a person who had a little more faith in Steve Kerr for longer. You know, you were much earlier heavily critiquing him, and I was giving him a little bit more benefit of the doubt. But even after the 2022 championship, you were like out on him. And it took me a little longer time. Like by that time, I had embraced some of the critiques and I was like, hey, you're right. He's got his weaknesses here and there. But I wasn't like out yet. And it took me a while.
Hmm.
But it's what you're talking about, right? It's like you got to be willing to interrogate the people you love and admire. You got to be willing to question your heroes. Like none of that should like holding them up on a pedestal shouldn't come before achieving the goals of the thing you want. Like the drive for uh, us for a very long time, speaking for myself, but I know we talked about this, was wanting Steph Curry to get a fifth championship. And
Hmm.
while there's a world where some of that enthusiasm's inflating and feeling like Curry's leadership has been lacking in the last several years and that he's complicit in a lot of this, that the goal was always that. And if the goal is to win that next championship or to be a winning franchise or do that, you got to be willing to look at the coach and critique him, just like you got to be willing to look at any of the players, including Jonathan Kuminga.
Hmm.
Like, it's not that Kuminga's above critique because he's our guy. Like, you got to be able to critique anybody.
Hmm. I love the
Speaking
way
of
you just
which,
put it in terms of critique our hero. You have to be willing to critique your heroes,
100%.
your political heroes. Like you could want Kamala Harris to beat Donald Trump, but that doesn't mean you can't be like they're doing the wrong things. They're not giving working class
Hmm.
people a plan. They're not acknowledging that inflation is high and people are struggling. They're just pretending that everything's good and they want you to keep them in power.
Yeah, it
Like
was
that was a bad strategy.
such a vibes campaign, you know?
Hmm.
And
And people were pissed off of any critique about her. Like, you know what I'm saying? So,
don't call her out on Gaza. Don't call her out on
yep.
economy. Don't call her out on
Hmm.
cozying up to Republicans, anything like that. Don't call her out on we need to have the strongest military of all time, you know, the most lethal, deadly military in the world. Don't call her out on when she shut down the protesters and said, "Excuse me, I'm speaking." You know, like there were all these there were signs. Anyway, we don't have to go fully into that, but again, you can want a candidate to win and still be like, hey, you're making wrong moves here. Like, this isn't gonna go well for you. Whether it's in the moment or it's in hindsight. Like, you are still allowed in hindsight to be like, hey, we could learn from this. That wasn't a good thing. Maybe we could take that information going forward and approach it a different way.
Hmm. Yeah.
Oh,
Um,
man.
I wouldn't critique her for all those things, but that's
I'm
taking it
speaking.
too far, man.
We're going too hard. We're going too hard. We're going too hard.
I like the military.
You know,
Uh,
I think the American Empire Project is a good thing and that we should totally sustain it at all costs.
there won't be any blowback whatsoever.
Never.
No one, no one's gonna be mad at us in the future, you know. All right.
Oh God.
Okay, I'm gonna read this email.
Yes. This was
So,
great.
um,
Just the second part, right?
yeah, I don't know if it's showing up here on the.
It is showing up. It is kind of abbreviated. Like it's off to the side. There we go. Yeah, get that set. Just scroll
But
up
is
to the
it showing
second.
up on the YouTube stream?
I don't know, but scroll up. Scroll up so the second is at the top. So people can see that. There we go.
Yeah, it's on the YouTube. Okay. So this is I get great emails from Joe. Now, it's Joe from twocomplexprotonmail.com.
I
And
appreciate the proton mail, by the way. He says secure.
the proton mail is like literally like you got to pay some kind of corporate thing to like be completely anonymous, right? And
Um, There's a free account you can get, but it is
Oh,
fully
okay.
encrypted from end to end
Yeah.
and not the servers are not in the United States, so they're not subject to, if ICE wants to do some overreach and be like, "Hey, you were at a protest, you coordinated it on
Mm.
your email. We need that information right now." They don't have to give it over. So,
Um, when I first got these emails from Joe like last season, I literally thought, and to me, a part of me still wants to believe this is Joe Lacob. But I get emails from Joe Lacob just shitting on the coach constantly with like precise detail. Uh, but I don't think it is. And
no, no, no.
yeah,
I
but
think Joe's pretty clearly a pseudonym.
yeah, but he sent us this great emails. Like literally, we'll get play-by-play breakdowns of like dumb shit that Pods has done, dumb shit that Kerr's done, like just great stuff. Like I hope to have him on one day, but he saw our first Sprewell was right um, cast between Evan and Brother Martine and myself, and he had this thing. He said Evan mentioned in the last few minutes a theory or thought, maybe half jokingly. It was essentially, is this roster built to tank, to paraphrase? Now, this is literally the exact theory observation that I had, and I suggested to Cyrus well over a year ago. I titled it something Kerr incompetently trying to win or competently trying to lose. Just look at this roster the last few years. Is it designed to be incapable of winning? A strategy to have a plausible, believable way of tanking while not actually having to overtly tank? Guys can try hard, guys can play hard. It won't matter because they're incapable of winning talent-wise, physical trait-wise, combination-wise. The roster makes no fucking sense. Is this actually an attempt at a new light year strategy, a strategy for tanking, an attempt to bypass or shorten the long stretch of inevitable sucking after the relatively short stretch of succeeding, decreasing the valley portion of the peaks and valleys graph, and then I'll go down. Then there's the system-wise aspect. Got to have a coach to run and manage the strategy. Steph is still good enough that the strategy also requires the coach's intervention at times to lose some games. Just consider it for a moment. Kerr has literally been throwing games over the past couple years. I don't care how this sounds. You've witnessed it. It's been documented. I love the way he writes. We can think and say that Kerr is an idiot, but is it really believable that he could be this fucking stupid? The decision making is that of an idiot or saboteur, one or the other. When guys are hot, play well, remove them from the game. When guys are cold, play poorly, insert them into the game and leave them in the game. Pair guys that don't complement each other. Separate guys that do complement each other. Three, four, even five small guards at a time. Sabotage! Kerr has literally been throwing games over the past couple of years. You've seen it. It's documented times two. Could explain why JK, the second, third best player on the team, being held back. Sabotage. Are they going to lose playing JK properly and in a prominent role? Can't do it. Got to sabotage him too. That and not play him at all. They've done both for years. Scapegoat for everything happened organically from the disdain Kerr developed for JK? Question mark. Could explain stuff while rounded players are boxed that into one limited under contributing role. Guy Santos when they have
Mhm.
more to give. Not saying Guy Santos is an all-star or anything. Could explain Brandon Podjemski's entire existence slash prominence. He's a G League or YMCA level talent. Play BP 20 to 30 plus minutes a night, every night. Never a DMP, a recipe for losses italicized. I could go on, etc., etc. On
First of all, love the enthusiasm. That shit was fire. It was such a fun read. And there's not really anything I disagree with there. The the thing that he's responding to is an idea I've brought up with you a few times. And I've toyed with this idea that Kerr Kerr's running a sabotage campaign. And it's not as direct as I think he actually is. But for those who saw me on Sideshow, I'm a television writer, and so a lot of times I'm coming up with story, and when I get stuck in a scene or in a thing, in an overall arc or something like that, sometimes I run a thought exercise, right? So if, for example, I have a character who's trying to protect a secret, and I don't know the thing he needs to be doing in this scene or sequence to protect the secret, the secret, excuse me. Sometimes I'll think, okay, so what's the opposite of that? What does it look like if he's trying to leak the secret instead of protect it? And then I'm like, okay, well, if he wanted to leak it, maybe he's going to reach out to this type of person, or maybe he's going to leave the computer, open on some table somewhere where he knows someone's going to read it or whatever, right? And so now knowing like, hey, these are the action steps that this person would take if they were trying to leak the thing, I can say, okay, the person who's trying to protect it is going to fight against that, is going to work against those things, going to see those things coming and try to be a step ahead. So that leads us back to Steve Kerr, where at some point I'm running this mental exercise on Steve Kerr, and I'm like, okay, so what does it actually look like if Steve Kerr is like fed up with Lacob and he's like, you know what? I'm just gonna cash out this money and I'm gonna sabotage this team, but I don't want to get caught. And to Joe's point and to previous discussions, I think it looks a lot like what he's doing. I think it looks like refusing to develop players that he doesn't agree with drafting. I think it looks like putting five guards on the floor at times. I think it looks like prioritizing the Anthony Lambs and Brandon Pajimskis over players on their team who are not just like physically more capable, but actually smarter players, right? I think it looks like the double standards he held Kuminga to, and I would say Trace and even Gee at different times versus some of the other players. I think it looks like the digs that he takes on players in the media while he's being charming and laughing and all that stuff, right? Uh, and again, I don't know that I believe he's actually sabotaging the team. To your point, I really think it's more likely just an egotistical person who can't get out of their own way. But man, if you look at the action steps, if you look at the decision making, it lines up with the choices somebody who was trying to sabotage the team, the choices that they would make.
Yeah, and we debated this a little bit. I have taught, I mean, I don't agree with the email. I don't think it's intentional sabotaging.
Yeah,
Um, and I've gone back and forth with Joe, and I appreciate it, but it does show how um the same data can lead to different conclusions without more, is it an unintended consequence of incompetent um
yeah.
basketball knowledge? And but it's when you start thinking about, yeah, okay, Steve Kerr's been in the league for how many years?
Since the 90s.
Yeah, 30 years, and Steph Curry's a champion. I wouldn't call Kerr a champion, but that's like giving a ring to Fitz Azubuike. But I think then it's kind of like actually maybe they are intentionally sabotaging it. And I've talked about how with Cyrus, like I try to think backwards of what's the rationality, and
Mhm.
I do see Kerr's logic and the front office's logic, and that's that they believe playing small 3-4 guards leads to playing fast, which gives the ball energy, which means more likelihood to make tough three-pointers at a higher clip, and that causes mental fatigue on the defense. They have to keep up with the ball and they get tired. And they just have to develop that vibe. And that takes a lot of synergy and belief and trust, and they just have to develop it. And you have to get players that think in 0.5 second basketball, and
Yeah.
that's the way to win. And the coach believes that. Steph Curry believes that. After they won the 22 title, um, Steph literally told the media, "This is a F, not a F, he didn't say this, but basically this is a FU to all the people who didn't think that we could win with this offense still."
Yeah.
And we're really proud of the fact that we won again with this offense. It tells me he's really committed to that
Even
style.
even though they abandoned it multiple times in all
Right,
the clutch moments during the playoffs, let's
right.
not forget that.
Even though they never played in the playoffs, they just played pick and roll.
his
So,
iconic game four was
right.
like very explicitly not running this offense.
And that that then led to Bob Myers leaving because he's saying I can't bring I'm going to draft Wiseman and Kuminga and they're not going to play them. He's going to play Anthony Lamb. He leaves. Dunleavy gets in, he's there, and he's the guy that's going to execute Steve Kerr's system. At the very beginning, Dunleavy said, we have to get guys that will fit our system and that the coach will play. And he started drafting older rookies,
Yeah.
TJD, et cetera, et cetera. And they got those guys and Dunleavy traded for Dennis Schroeder, which was the first panic trade of this era.
Yep.
And that was, in my opinion, that was probably meant so that Steve Kerr would stop playing Brandon Pajemski so much, give him a replacement. But Steve Kerr played them together December last year. That led to, and Andrew Wiggins at the four, and I've talked about this many times, but that led to the panic trade for Jimmy Butler. And the
Hmm.
reason we think that was an original sin moment is because you time has already passed Jimmy Butler. Nobody in the league wanted him. Nobody wanted to give him
Definitely not
56
at that
million.
money rate.
Yeah, and the way he scores is by letting guys undercut him for foul grifts, and that is going to increase the injury likelihood, and that's what happened. So I don't to me it's all connected, Evan, like it's kind of incompetent. It's a sound logical vision in a vacuum of how to play winning basketball. So I do think they're trying to win. They're just the worst team in the league trying to win. It's not trying to lose. It's a subtle difference. I
No,
don't
no,
know.
no. I agree with you on that. I agree that. And I don't know if I go so far as it's a sound logical approach. I believe they believe there's a logic to it, right? I disagree with their logic about basically the state of the NBA in relation to what they're trying to do and the players they want to get on board. But I do think what's likely happening is there's discord within the organization, which is very aggressively highlighted in the Slater article, and that for the most part, everybody there is thinks they have the right answer and is giving an authentic attempt at trying to achieve winning through that answer. So
Right.
I guess that's fair. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the vibes. Well, no. Okay, but here's the actual real question. We've talked about the vibes era, right?
Hmm.
The vibes era
Tell
being
us more about that.
putting the nostalgia tour and trying to sell tickets over winning basketball. The concept of the vibes era would conflict with what I just said, that everybody's trying their best. Maybe it's a little conflict, right? Maybe the vibes era is a reaction to the fact that things aren't going as well as they had hoped and that they can't agree on a path forward. So like you settle on the vibes era.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, it is another piece that I can play in there. The Curry Kerr vibes era is very alive. And it's just, it's a refusal to see the NBA for what it is today.
Hmm.
I think do you want to talk about the Slater article? Because there's a
Yeah,
lot in that.
please.
You know, my
You want me to give you
my
the ability to
two
share the screen?
no, I'm not pulling up the article
Yeah.
itself unless you want to. I just have some notes for it.
Yeah, please.
Um,
It's crazy.
you
That
know,
article is
one,
crazy, dude. That article is crazy, man.
yeah, right.
Dude.
One, I was happy Slater wrote it and not Kawakami. Slater, I think, was a little bit more even keel on how he presented things than Kawakami, although I do have a lot of gripes with some, it more easily casting Kuminga as being emotional and not giving enough justification for why he's has his stances, more a little shading toward accepting Kerr's framing of events without
Hmm.
question. But the kind of big surprise to me in the Slater article is it's low key a Joe Lacob hit piece. It's it's kind of like, yeah, people in the organization think Lacob's doing too much meddling with the personnel, and they need to they need to let the basketball people do basketball decisions. And the real issue is that he had this relationship with Kuminga, this vision with Kuminga that he wouldn't let go of, and that's the real problem here. I I found that pretty amazing that was an ongoing theme within the article.
Well, what makes you think it was like the I mean, I'm assuming you're saying kind of Kerr throwing shade at Lacob. Like what gives you that impression, more or less?
Uh, you know, I don't know that it never says Kerr, it says team sources. But there are several, like when I read these articles, I constantly think about whether either the uh the article says, "Hey, so and so said this," and then here's a counterpoint that someone else said, right?
Right.
And so you're presenting different sides of an argument and then letting the reader kind of make a decision on what they think, and like with equal weight and standing. Or whether it's like, hey, all this conversation about he wasn't a good fit for the team or for the system or whatever, right? And then does the author of the article have a comment on that to question it or to push back on it or do anything? Like,
Hmm.
does the author engage critically with that thing?
Right.
And I think Slater mostly accepts the Kerr narrative about fit and things, but there are multiple instances where he's like, hey, and from Kuminga's perspective, it is XYZ, right? So there's like a little bit of a back and forth there
Hmm.
where you're getting a little bit of a picture from either side about like why this may not have been a thing. But every time there's some version of comment about Lacob not being willing to move off a dream that didn't fit the roster of the system or one that the coaching staff didn't desire to execute, meddling too much in the personnel, picking style over substance that made the dynasty teams hum, having too close of a relationship with Kuminga or being unwilling to get off, right? Like, there's never anything that's presented in opposition to that. That's just kind of left hanging and then it goes on to the next subject. And it happens at least three times, if not four.
Yeah.
You know, so that was the one that really, I expected all the Kerr talk and this idea that this insane statement that Kerr's superpower is like developing close relationships with his players, and that
Crazy.
somehow by accident, who knows why it couldn't work with Kuminga. Which then you go into like Kuminga was triggered because of this, and Kuminga felt this way, blah blah blah, blah. And you're like, yeah, well, you're making him out to like that stuff. I would expect it. I didn't expect, hey, here's team sources saying Lacob's fucking up. Anyway, next subject. Here's team sources saying Lacob's fucking up. Next subject. Here's team sources saying Lacob's fucking up. Next subject. Like that was wild to me. And then directly highlighting that it was like Kerr and Dunleavy on one side and Lacob on another side.
Mm.
I also didn't expect that to be
Yeah.
so drawn out.
Kerr and Dunleavy being on the same page about it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
there was, go ahead, go ahead.
Just a quick note on that. I mean, the way I've been talking about it for a while now is I people act like there's only three people, right? Like
Mm,
Lacob, Kerr, and Dunleavy and Steph. But in reality, the front office is filled with dozens of people, and I think there was a massive split about the direction of the organization because you'll hear Slater and Kawakami and Marcus Thompson, they'll report like they're like, yeah, a number of people really, Kuminga will do well, and they'll be like, see. I mean,
yeah,
this is all what we've been waiting for. I don't know why the coach don't play him, and like in the plural, right?
for sure.
And they're not getting that straight from the owner. There's people in the front office that were definitely on the stop playing so many guards and play Moody and Kuminga together and invest in them. So that was like a power faction within the front office organization. And it seemed like Dunleavy, you know, in the end, he sided with Kerr. He sided with Kerr. And I think the way he's justifying it is he didn't overcommit the organization to long-term draft pick compensation to get off Kuminga. So he's saying, okay, we'll give Kerr Curry the vibe experience to sell tickets, to sell, copium, hope, right? But
Yeah.
I'm not going to trade 4 or 5 picks for it. So that's me being a good GM.
Yeah, it's a little fence riding. It's a little bit trying to protect their job, right? It's it's the Hollywood studio exec saying like, "Hey, yeah, we're definitely gonna support you and we believe in your vision and we think this
Mm,
is a really cool idea, but we're not gonna give you a budget for it. So like figure it out." It feels very um just safe, non-committal. Um Kind of annoying. I get it. It's not like Dunleavy wants to get fired, right? So you can't
hmm
go full bore. But that was another one, by the way, another shot at Lacob in the piece was um when they were talking about the trades and how much Lacob wanted back, being out of step with Dunleavy and Curran and that wing of the conversation. But right, so you can't go. I guess what I'm wondering is what do you think the long-term fallout of this is? Or do you have any more thoughts on the Slater article? You said there's a bunch of shit. Then there
Yeah,
is
I
a
mean,
bunch.
I thought it was really just I think the open acknowledgement that um Kuminga faked injuries.
Yeah.
And I did enjoy, and I called that out as a Kuminga supporter. I was like, that's what he's doing, and I support it. I think it's
Yeah.
that's what I would do in that situation because he's been laid out to dry for many years.
Over and
And
over again.
and I think Kerr and their whole plan was we're not going to do any, like Kerr's literal plan this year, Evan, was we are not going to do anything to integrate Kuminga into an offense, into a system. I'm not going to
Yeah.
do anything. What I'm going to do is have literally 2 teams. I'm going to have the playoff team with Jimmy, Draymond, and Steph and Podziemski. And then
Yeah.
I'm going to have the team when those guys need to rest on back-to-backs. And that team is going to be led by Kuminga. But also I'm not really going to coach for that. I'm just going to throw it out there. And when Kuminga was like, hey, we won all these games. I was like getting all this fanfare the first week of the season, and then Steph Curry got hurt. And
Yeah,
then
that's the
I
thing
was,
that the game or the article does not highlight about the that
yes,
opening season thing. It's just like, oh yeah, and then they fell to 6-6, and like who knows why that happened.
yeah, and he regressed. Like it's a fact. It didn't say that
Yeah.
Steph Curry got hurt, right? And then Kuminga actually did get hurt because he was doing everything out there. He was the second best player on the team.
Hmm.
And and by the way, I fully think Jonathan Kuminga is a better player than Jimmy Butler. That's what's so crazy about this, that
Agreed.
if
Agreed.
after Jimmy Butler's got injured, if they had just played Jonathan Kuminga 35
In this
minutes a night,
spot, you're
Evan,
fine.
they
Yeah.
actually would have been a better
It would
team.
have improved.
What a effing joke, dude. And where was I? That
Also with room to
uh,
grow, right? Like
right.
Kuminga's, I mean, to your point previously, Jimmy's on the downslide, right? Like his bag has gotten smaller and smaller as he's aged, as it does, but Kuminga's was expanding,
Right.
and we've seen it. Anyway,
Only thing Jimmy has is the foul grifting, which is, Kuminga's not able to do yet. He doesn't have the experience.
he'll get
But
there.
there's room to grow, like you said, right? You
Yeah,
know.
man. I mean, look, and the things that I just don't like about some of these articles are like I said, the lack of being critical about things, right? This idea that Jonathan Kuminga wanted to be a possession starter, not a possession finisher,
Oh
and that he
yeah,
wanted to have the ball in his hand a little bit more. And it's like, one, you should, you should like that would make the Warriors better.
true.
So let's not just assume that that's actually worse. And two, if Kuminga's a possession starter, like think about how much of the offense is Steph running in circles around screens trying to get the look he likes. That's not different if the ball's in Kuminga's hands to start and then Steph's running around versus if Steph brings up and then does an entry pass and then does it, right? Like it's not fundamentally a different experience. Except when you have Kuminga in the quote unquote dunker spot in the corner and everybody knows he's just supposed to stand there until, an alley-oop comes this way or there's like a panic because Curry can't get free from three people guarding him. And if he has the ball coming up, people have to pay attention to him. And this gets back, to my spacing conversation where people think spacing is just where people stand on the floor. And
Hmm.
like spacing is actually a byproduct of gravity. Like if everybody's standing on the corners, but nobody feels like they have to defend him, that's not good spacing. But if Kuminga has the ball in his hand and they're terrified he's going to get by his guy and get to the rim, and you have Curry running off the screen anywhere else on the court, the defense attention is divided, and that is good spacing. That's a good thing. You want that. It's insane.
Yeah, there even if guys are quote unquote shooters, if no one's scared of them, that's not spacing. Like you need to be scared of somebody.
Yeah.
Um,
You're not scared of Pajimski. You're not really scared of Heald unless he has that like 1 in 10 game where you're like, okay, I guess he's hot tonight.
right. Yeah, and what you said about the article taking it as a fact, a fact, and this is it's just repeated is that Kuminga wanted to be a play starter, not a play finisher, that he wanted the ball in his hands. And that's why I was a little frustrated with Kuminga and Aaron Turner's comments in the
Mm,
ESPN article in June to Slater because when he was in Cleveland working out and I remember I told you I was frustrated where Jonathan Kuminga
yeah.
said, I just want the chance to be an all-star, a primary scorer. And I was like, no, don't give them that.
You're giving them, yeah, ammunition.
Don't let them win on that talking point. Because ever since then, it's been like, see, he doesn't fit. He doesn't fit.
Yeah.
When in reality, Kuminga has and I wrote a Substack article about this. Kuminga has played long stretches of being a role player in the Warriors' Steph Curry heliocentric offense. He's done the rebounding. He's done the pass, look for Steph. He's done the I gotta look for my shooters, Klay Thompson. He's
Hmm.
done the defending, and they've won big. They won 30 games his second year with him doing that. Um, and they made the sixth seed in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Kuminga is an exceptional role player. And if the coach just played him 30 minutes a game, we would see that. But
Consistently, yeah. Not yanking him for like, oh, you
right,
took a mid-range or you didn't pass the ball fast enough or whatever. And again, with the double standard that even Jimmy Butler acknowledges and is quoted in the article of like how he gets treated versus other people if he does something that the coach doesn't like or whatever, right?
right.
The Pajimski leash.
Yeah, and so I didn't, and them taking this, you know, in the article just it's allowed them to say, see, it's obvious he didn't fit and he just needs to go be a scorer. And it's like, um, no, that's actually the coach not coaching, the coach not believing in him, the coach not thinking it'll work. And so that's the post hoc justification, Evan. That's
Yeah.
the rationalization after the fact. Like Kuminga could have been that guy for them. And had he been, he actually would have ended up being the primary guy over time because he's really that good.
Because he's
He,
good. Yeah.
yeah,
All the talk about like trying to have him be the Sean Marion or the Aaron Gordon or whatever. Like it's bullshit because to your point, he's shown he can do that and is willing to do that, including this season, earlier this season when they were winning again before Curry gets injured. He was doing that with the starters. And that it just doesn't work if your bar is like, hey, I need you to play. Like we know you have more ability than this defined role we want you in, but we want you to play this defined role. But also as soon as I have an excuse to pull you out of this defined role, I'm going to pull you out of this defined role and I'm just going to retreat to my same narratives and talking points and my bullshit. Like, because I
right.
really just didn't want you there in the first place. And so like I get you on why you didn't like the comments over the summer because it was like, oh, you're just like You're giving them like the exact sound bite that they need to justify the things that they've already been wanting to say and have been saying about you, you know?
Yeah. Like,
Even if it's right, even if it's a good
yeah.
thing.
I wish
Ugh,
he had just said, I would love to be the role player, play the role player role, and I have done that in the past, and I just want the opportunity to do it. I keep getting benched
yeah.
when I'm playing well. Like if he had said that, and if he had just stuck to that message, like what would the Warriors PR have done? He handed them that's where I think Aaron Turner messed up. He gave the Warriors their PR out when they did that
Yeah,
interview.
agreed.
And I think that was a huge mistake. But Evan, how about this chat? This is my I love this. I think Aaron Turner and cousin Andresma at this point got the motherfucking job done. Aaron
Yeah.
Turner is the man because
You
uh
got him out,
he
man.
got him out. He got him out. He helped him fake those injuries. He pissed off the owner. He pissed off Dunleavy. He pissed off Kerr, and they just traded his ass for
For
empty salary,
peanuts.
for
For a
peanuts,
salary dump,
for
man. I'm
nothing.
sorry. Like, no hard shade to Porzingis. That's fine, but come on. Like we know what the trade discussion was over the summer. We know what the trade discussion like when you look at what the Kings were offering, and it was like multiple picks plus Malik Monk and all this stuff, and they were like, that's not enough for us. And then you talk about like already injured Kristaps Porzingis. Come on, come on, no picks,
Right,
and we gotta send Buddy. Come
right.
on. Oh man. You
Yeah.
know the thing that so since part of the Slater article, but since the trade has happened. There have been more shots from the Warriors organization at Kuminga at his camp. The like incredibly gross comment about, oh yeah, one of his people was taking too much food. These fucking poor black people were taking food at the company meetings or at the company organization or whatever, right?
That
Like
was so the implication, dude. That was so racist, bro.
it
That
was
was so
so
racial, man.
shitty. You know, like
So
it's just
shitty.
the vibe I get. So this vibe is what I get so much more in football than I get in basketball, but it's this like, come on, boy, how come you're not more thankful? You should be more thankful that I gave you a shot, right?
Right.
And that's just the vibe I'm getting from some of Levy's comments. A lot of,
Know your
Kerr's smart
place.
enough to not, yes, it's very know your place, right? It's very you should be thankful for the opportunity I've granted you and the fact that you showed any willingness to like control your own agenda, to have ambition outside of what I've laid out for you is like a slap in the face of this opportunity I've graciously granted you out of the goodness of my heart. Not because you're a really good basketball player that I think would bring value to my franchise, but because I'm a good-hearted white person who wants to just do charity for these, these poor Africans, like it's like Sarah McLachlan singing in the commercial, and it's the poor African kids with the big bellies, and like, hey, can you
Yep.
just donate $1 to Jonathan Kuminga? We got to get him out of the jungle and get him over here to Golden State where we got good, upstanding people. Come on, man, get out of here with that mentality. And look, they're smarter, so it's coded before anybody freaks out. I know this isn't like the direct text on the nose, but it's in the subtext. It's in the attitudes, man. It's so bad. It's so bad.
I mean that's like I think Evan, you just said the mechanism for why, like a lot of former players are speaking out, and a lot of people are saying this is going to affect the Warriors' ability to get free agents and get blue chip guys to want to come here. Like, are
Hmm.
people going to avoid the Warriors in the draft? Like if they actually get a high draft pick and there's like an elite athlete, like they're gonna try to steer themselves away. And the mechanism is this race stuff. It's this old boys club that they got going on that is not, it's the know your place, know your role, the NFL plantation mentality, man. It's,
Fully.
it's know your role, comma BOY. Like that
Yeah.
is kind of the reputation the Warriors are developing. Um, and I really just it's abhorrent. And people, and I'm going to talk about this soon on Cyrus's podcast, but the claim is like you're not a real fan because you're kind of abandoning the team. Like you don't, you can't root for a team when you don't believe in the leadership. It's not the product on the floor. I will watch a team with a bad product on the floor, Evan,
Oh
like losing
yeah,
games.
all the
That's
time.
fine. It's all good. The issue is when you don't agree with the organizational culture
And the
and
values.
the values and the decision making going on. Why would you root? You just need to wait for the team to be sold or there to be a regime change,
Yeah.
basically.
I think okay, so this brings me to something else I want to talk about because what I'm seeing here, people have talked around this and some people have directly addressed it, but like this very much looks like the falling of an empire to me. This what we're seeing right now. And it just reminds me so much of the kind of mid 2010s 49ers, as Harbaugh gets fired, and then they hang on to Kaepernick for a little while, and they give like Tomsula the head coaching job, who was their offensive line coach, which was just like a yes man. I'm sorry, like no shit, no, all the shade, fuck it. This fool was a terrible coach. He had no business being an NFL head coach. And they're like, oh yeah, but like we have Harbaugh who has an opinion of his own. He's got to go. And like the roles are a little different, right, in this place for people who aren't up on the 49ers were they brought in Harbaugh I don't know 2011 I want to say 2012 they go to the Super Bowl. That was the year that Kaepernick takes over from an injured Alex Smith. They adjust their offense, they go forward, all that, right? Building up to that was the regime where they had Trent Baalke as their GM, and he was kind of being regarded between Jed York as representing the ownership and Trent Baalke as the GM and then Harbaugh as the coach. They were being heralded as kind of like the best organization in the league. They all seemed like they were
Mm.
on the same page. It was like the front office is so functional. They know what they're doing. They have a great drafting strategy. They kind of bought low on a lot of players. They would players that would get injured prior to the combine or in their senior season, they would take a risk on them in ways that paid off sometimes and sometimes didn't. They really built their offensive line. They did genuinely build a really good team. But as what happens with all empires, if you read the rise and fall of the Third Reich or the decline and fall of the Roman Empire, it's all the same, right? Like people at the top start thinking they're more important than the people who really make the shit run.
Mm.
Um, and for the Niners, it was Trent Baalke deciding that all the players were replaceable, and that they didn't have to pay to hold on to any talent that was really good. They were happy to just trade them away to a different team, try to get somebody on the cheap in free agency or draft somebody younger and be like, no, 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 it's okay. It's our system that is the thing that is winning. It's the way we run things. It's not the talent. And that included at the time Jim Harbaugh, who excellent coach, and again brought him from like a 6-10 team to the Super Bowl in like 2 years. Pretty insane. And the lines are drawn a little differently with the Warriors because the Trent Baalke in this case is Steve Kerr, but there's still this alignment where it's like you got Kerr thinking, I mean, Kerr will say Curry's the most important thing on this team. There's no doubt about it. But again, his behavior, his decision making is like my system, the way I want to do things is more important than the players.
Right.
And Dunleavy getting on board with that is an agreement into that logic, that line of logic. And yeah, dude, I don't know how I don't know how if you are a young player coming out of the draft, or if you're a Giannis or some type of person like that who is still more or less in your prime, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to come play with Steph at Golden State?" How you look at what this organization has done, not just with Kuminga, but with like anybody who's not their core people. Jimmy Butler's the outlier here, that he came in from outside and was actually treated well. But he also came in from outside with like a heavy, heavy price tag. Like you can't sit Jimmy Butler with how much he costs, right? Um, yeah, dude, I just don't know why you do it. If you're an agent, and you're talking to your newly signed, college athlete, and you're like, hey, I'm gonna get you set up with a good team that's gonna value you and is gonna develop you and is gonna get you in a good spot. Like, why do you send them to the Warriors?
Right. I mean, um, let's talk about this for a second because I want to bring up Steph Curry,
Hmm.
and I haven't really had too much of the freedom to go in on him like I wanted to. But just on in terms of what you've said about like the team, the team leadership value, feeling themselves more than understanding the players drove it. But the exception is Steph Curry, right? But
Yeah.
that is their, so the way I see it is like they lack self-awareness. No one is telling them actually Steph Curry is not what he used to be.
Yeah.
And and like and you hear it all the time. Like Kawakami says it, which is straight from the front office and the coach. Like you hear Slater say, you see it repeated. Like they're just failing Steph. They say that on ESPN,
Yeah.
and I know you've disagreed with me at times on this. Like Steph is still the top 10 player, and they need to do everything they can to try to win now. And for me, I don't see it that way. Like
Hmm.
I don't think he's a top 10 player anymore. And he's getting top 10 player statistics. But the way I see it, Chad, and feel free to disagree with me, and I'm not saying I'm right, it's just this is
So
more of
yeah, 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 yeah.
an opinion, like it's a subjective thing. Like I think he gets top 10 stats because he's in a heliocentric offense that's completely designed around him. And it's designed, the only way they can win is if he scores 35 points a game.
Yeah.
And anybody who might be on the court that starts offense besides him has to get off the court.
Has to get off. Yeah.
And so playing that way has led to being the eighth to 10th seed. And it has led to him getting injured and has led to them having bad defenders on the court. And so I don't see a world where he can get top 10 statistics and then being a championship contender. So that means to me, and I said this over the summer, I wrote a whole Substack article about it, that the usage rate for Steph Curry needs to go down, needs to be like a
Agreed.
second,
Fully.
third option.
Hmm.
That he needs to be getting 20 to 25 points a game, less minutes, and that the majority of the offense needed to be Jonathan Kuminga, Andrew Wiggins, and then Jimmy Butler getting to free the free throw line 8 to 10 times a game each,
Yeah.
and that they should lower the amount of points they got. They should be a 95 to 100 point um, games, and it should be all defense. That was the route to go, and to save Steph Curry's legs so that he could be a clutch fourth quarter performer.
Agreed.
And lacking the self-awareness to go down that route and to triple, quadruple down on Steph Curry being the top 10 player that they think he is kind of what led to this um, belief in Steve Kerr, which led to the two panic trades of Dennis Schroeder and Jimmy Butler,
Butler.
and
Yeah.
then led to the go home in a body bag program. So what do you think, Evan?
Okay, so I think I still have some disagreement with you as far as how I evaluate Steph. I do think he's still a top 10 player in the league, but I arrive at the same prescription
Mm,
of what the team needs to do. Because I think a few things. Okay, so one, I think what Steph is being asked to do for this team is incredibly difficult. Like, yes, he's basically given every shot in the game, or at least first chance at every shot on offense. That is true. But he's also being asked to do that while there's basically no other threats on the floor at any time. Or if they're on the floor, they know they're not allowed to be threats until after Steph Curry is like, okay, it's not working out for me, this thing, right? So, it's not even like Steph has to score 28 for the team to win or 32. It's really more like score like 35, 40, 45 for this team to win. They're asking that of him, which is just an insane ask of anybody at any point in their career. Whether this is his prime or he's working down that. But, I think regardless, the way Steph Curry has been excellent in the past, um, has been with other scorers on the floor, with other people who could do that. And even during their best offensive teams, even the KD run and all that stuff, right? They were a top 10 defense in the league, if not top
Right,
five, almost the entire time. So to ask Steph Curry, this is why I think the ask of him is even bigger than it was during those years because we have shit defense now. And having three, four guard lineups out there against an NBA that's increasingly mobile, increasingly athletic, and increasingly long wingspans and all that stuff is asking way too much of Steph Curry. Like it's not even what he was before. It is a bigger ask than what he was on including in the 2022 championship.
right,
And so I think, if you there's this I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a fear or if it's an just like a suspicion or whatever, but like I think you could still get a Steph Curry that scores 25 to 27 points a game but does so with more offensive threats on the floor. If you were to actually have incorporated Kuminga, if you were going to allow other people to play with the ball in their hands, etc. And you could do that with, to your point, an offense or a defense that's better, that is bigger and could actually physically compete with some of the other teams. Then you don't need Steph to score 35 to win a game. There was even in the Slater article, it's like, oh yeah, the game that they decided abruptly to sit Kuminga, Steph goes off for 46 and they win this game against the Spurs and they're like, oh, see, this is us getting back to what we're supposed to be. It's like, no, you should need Steph Curry to score 46 fucking points to win a regular season game. Like
right,
I get that like there are playoff situations where it's just like you have to feed the ball to your main guy to get the points. Like I get how that happens in the playoffs. That's not something that should happen in the first like 2 months of the season. That's a crazy idea to hold that up as like, oh, see, we're back, baby. We back to what we're supposed to be. It's like, dude, this is a problem. And I remember saying it then. We were watching all these early games and we're like, Curry has to score too much to win. They're barely winning these games. Like all these games are contested. It's not like it's Curry scores 46 and they win by, 17 or anything like that. It's like Curry scores 46 and they win by two in overtime or they win by four in the last, like minute and a half of the game or something like that. Like that against mid-level teams, that's not a good
right.
sign.
Not a good sign when you're Steph Curry scoring 35 and you're barely beating, the Utah Jazz or you're losing to the Atlanta Hawks.
Hmm.
And just ridiculous. One thing just to shift gears here a little bit, Evan,
Let's do it.
um, how good do you think this Atlanta Hawks situation is going to be? I want to talk about this a little bit. Because I noticed in those two games when Kuminga came back from the DMPs and the
Yeah.
game when Coach Kerr put his hand on his chest like a little puppy dog or
Oh, that,
whatever, like
enraging.
enraging, the most freaking
Just patronizing bullshit.
patronizing shit I've ever seen in my
PR
life.
nonsense. I got the cameras here.
Literally
Yeah.
not talked to that guy in months, and he's got his hand on him like, okay, good job, son.
Good job,
It's
son. Exactly.
ridiculous. Um, I want to know what you guys think, chat, how you think it's going to go. I mean, um, two things I noticed in watching a couple Hawks games. I'm still developing opinions like
Yeah.
about them because
Same.
I'm not that familiar with them, and I know cousin Andres is like in on it deep, and we're going to be watching every single game. Believe me, you
Yeah,
know.
when Kuminga starts playing, it's like it's
Yeah,
on. Yeah.
it's on, man.
Especially
And
in preparation for that March game with the Warriors. Like you gotta be all up on it.
bro, like honestly, we're so thrilled that he's on the Hawks. A, because it's the East and it's easy
Yeah.
to freaking win in the East. And B, that he landed on a team that's actually trying to win. not like the Bucks or the Wizards or like a tanking team, Evan. Like
Yes.
they're actually going to be trying to win now. And and the thing that I noticed about them, one was the game against the Warriors. Quinn Snyder was actually up and down the baseline trying to coach his guys. He wasn't doing some lazy shit. Like he was actually trying to get them in the right positions, trying hard, right?
Yeah.
And he looks like he's got energy, and that's one theme that we've said is like old guys cannot coach in the NBA right now. Like you gotta have a young guy. He's not young, but he looks like he has got energy like
He's
to
got
make
younger
his name.
energy. Yeah.
Like he knows, I think Quinn Snyder knows that this is probably his last stop in the NBA. Like after
Oh,
this, like he's
100%.
not getting another chance, basically
Yeah.
is what I think.
Agreed.
And
He's
the other
he's
thing
trying
I
to coach his
noticed,
ass off. There's no doubt about that.
right, and Kuminga needs that. He actually needs a coach. Kuminga's never had a coach ever.
Yeah.
And and the other thing I noticed, Jalen Johnson is the point guard. That guy's got vision. And that
Hmm.
guy, he's averaging like 8 assists or something like that. And he's really tall. Like he was making in the one game I saw, like he was making Luka level, like LeBron type across the half court. Like he sees the double team shading towards him and then he passes in the opposite
Yeah.
corner. Um, the other thing I wanted to say was like, oh yeah, and uh, Lazara said in the chat here the point that you were making, Evan. Like Atlanta, he said Atlanta's the best place for JK because it's Black America. And like, I mean, you were
Exactly.
making that point right away, man. Like that alone
Oh, it's gonna be night
is
and day.
is good for him, right? Like, come on,
Yeah.
man.
It's gonna be night and day. Atlanta's such a beautiful city. I mean, I've been fortunate enough. My partner's dad lives in Atlanta, so we go out there and we visit him a few times a year. And it's oh God, it's just the culture is so deep and it's so rich and it's so black and like black and proud. It's hyper black and proud. And there's no, not in the way that oh, I'm gonna make people mad, but in the way that Curry, Curry, and to a different degree, Draymond can be like the happy house Negroes in the peninsula, right? And I know what I'm saying. I know what I'm saying. I'm not actually going that far, but I'm walking up to the edge of it. I'm walking up to the edge of it, right? Like that's just a space that doesn't exist as much out there, right? Like the white coach will get fired before you're asking the players to just like be the happy house Negro and get in where you fit in and be thankful for the opportunity and all that stuff. Like that's not like a line to superstardom there, where it can be like Steve Kerr didn't kick me off the team when I punched Jordan Poole, and so I'm really thankful to him. And we don't always agree, but Steve's a good guy and he does right. Like that dynamic's just not the same the way it is with the Warriors. And I say this with heartbreak. I didn't want that to be something I would ever say about the Golden State Warriors. Not the team that I saw, the We Believe team, not the team back in the day with Chris Mullin and them and doing that whole thing, right? Not that franchise that I used to go to Warriors games for free because they couldn't fill the stadium, so all the local high school basketball teams like 2 to 3 times a year would just get free tickets and they'd just be like, "Cool, it's high school basketball night," and we would all just be there for free going to the games and it was super fun. That team that you have that relationship with, you don't want to see that team and think like, "Oh, you gotta kind of be like a house Negro to just like make sure you straight here." It's rough. It's rough. It's rough. It's
Man,
rough.
I would never say that on Draymond because Draymond's the man, but
Draymond is the man, but he's
yeah,
but he's as much as Draymond is being Draymond, and they are allowing him to be Draymond. Draymond is also
complicit.
aware of
Mhm.
the political situation there, and you could see even on his pod. And I again love Draymond. This is actually no shade to Draymond, and if he takes offense to this, I apologize. But when he's like, all right, let me break it down, and there's like a little more nuance to this. Don't y'all be thinking this way and this that way. And I'm like, oh no, Dre, I do think that way. So like maybe I need a harder explanation. So what's
Yeah,
going on here?
I think
He
Draymond
gives them
just
outs.
I think Draymond knows that this is just the Kerr Curry vibe ball, and
Yeah.
he's on a podcasting career, and it's good for him to be on this team, and so he's not going to upset
No, of
the
course
old
not.
boys network they got going on because he doesn't want to get traded. He loves
Yeah.
living here in the Bay, like because it is really nice to live in the Bay. Why would you want to
Hell
live
yeah, it's
anywhere else?
great.
And like I think he would prefer to just stay. And so he's not going to rock the boat by critiquing the coach. Like he already knows he's the one guy on the team that's allowed to kind of scare the Peninsula fans.
True,
Like
true.
they can't have two versions of him.
Hmm.
Um, so that's how I would put it. But the one thing I wanted to bring up about Kuminga on the Hawks, and I noticed this, I was reminded of this when he came back from DMPs, was that Kuminga's got vision, man. And
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed this, Evan, but he was literally directing guys on his team where to be on the court. Like, hey, Pods, get your ass out of there so I can
I
uh
almost clipped him for you, man. 100%.
like directing his teammates and then they're getting good offense out of it. Like I actually see Kuminga as a high IQ player. That's
Agreed.
how different of a scout on it that I have than a vast majority of these people. he he knows where to attack, and I think he just needs freedom to like be in control, man. To be a guy on a team.
I
I
think,
don't know what you think about that.
I think two things. One, I want to highlight not just and this directing thing he's done, it's not new. It wasn't just right after the DMPs. That happened, but he's done that earlier this season. He did it last season. He did it in the playoffs against Minnesota. There were all these moments where he's like, "Hey, you get over there," blah blah blah, and on offense and on defense. And multiple times he's telling Pods where to fucking be. Pods, who's being held up as this like specific guy of a particular agreeable, likable type. But yeah, dude, I think a couple things about Kuminga in Atlanta. I think I like that they're going to. It seems like they are gonna give him his space to be able to be a player. I think he still has developing to do, and that's fine. That's okay. He should. He's like 22 or 23 or whatever he is. Um, but the ability to be able to do that without feeling like you're gonna get yanked out of the game for the slightest mistake or for making what is actually a correct decision as far as like the team getting a basket versus the decision we just want you to make because we've decided that the only way we want to score is this way.
Right.
Um, but also, I like that Atlanta's a team that is committed to young players. It's not like they have like the Warriors are a team of vets, and all the young players are there just because they have to have some young players on the team. But at this point, I think if they had their way, it would just be old old guys that have been battle tested and that they could all trust and they know have been there before and this and that and other thing. Like I don't think they really particularly value
Right.
youth or developing on that team. Again, unless it's like you play this really narrow role because we can't trust you to have a brain, so like you got to just play this little thing here. Whereas by Atlanta, even moving off of Trey, uh doubling down on Jalen and doing this thing. They're like, hey, we are the nucleus of the team is young developing talent. And that is really important for Kuminga to be a part of that because he's going to be given the freedom to grow, to develop chemistry with people, to make mistakes. But also when he shines, he's shining alongside other players who are on a similar path with him versus in direct opposition to the path that is trying to be established by the franchise.
Totally. Um, I the other thing I think I don't know is gonna happen for sure, but just getting the green light, Evan. Like I
Hmm.
think his 3-point shooting is gonna improve a lot. Like because I remember in his second year when he played for Andrew Wiggins, he was shooting 42% from three or something like that for
Yeah.
30 straight games. And you know, I've seen the way the Heat play, I think is the future of the league. You just let a guy that has size, you let him shoot over the top even when he's being guarded. Like if you're in the wing and you're being guarded, you just shoot it because it's a good shot, the corner three. And just being given the freedom to like, hey, I believe in you. Like make this shot. We need you to make this shot. Just keep shooting. Like
Keep
Evan,
shooting. Yeah. Not
you've
like you
played
miss.
basketball.
Yeah.
Right. Like you know what it's like to be on a team with a guy who's pissed off at you with just on like regular YMCA run,
I know
like
what
why
it's
are
like
you
to be on a team with you
yeah,
being that guy.
like what the fuck was that shot, man? What are you doing? Like screaming at you because he took a bad shot. Like you're not
Yeah.
gonna make your next shot if your coach is like yelling at you for shooting the shot.
Yeah, it's easy to hesitate. And look,
Yeah.
I don't want to go to Bill
Evan,
Simmons.
I'm gonna mute my screen real quick. I gotta take a bathroom break, but tell me about that shooting experience there.
All right, you hurry up and handle that. Okay, so there's a few things here. Long story short, Armando and I have known each other for some time. We went to undergrad together. We played on intramural teams. We've played a lot of pickup basketball since then. And I would argue that during the intramural days, I really enjoyed playing with Armando. I think the when you have referees and it feels a little more official, it's a different experience and probably on my end as well, right? Like in how I would operate on the court. But man, playing pickup with him was for some time at least. I wouldn't say that about him now, but for some time it was really hit or miss as he was developing his hypotheses about how to operate on the court, about what being a good teammate was, about what a leadership style was to take. He was very definitely that guy sometimes who would yell at you for taking the shot or not taking the shot, or if you blew a defensive assignment or whatever, and I'm just be like, man, what you want me to do? Asking me to do all the things at once. Um, but yeah, no, like I don't want to 100% say like pickup basketball is a one-to-one relationship to NBA basketball. There is a degree to which these guys are professionals. They've played in much more high stakes basketball than we have over a long time, but that doesn't change the fact that human beings are human beings and have emotional responses to things. And I want to say this very specifically because I think it's really easy to categorize a player who doesn't perform well in the face of criticism or in the face of a coach making particular decisions as emotional and therefore irrational. And then that same like logic isn't applied to the coach who makes an emotional, irrational, like gut
Mm,
decision to yank a player out of the game if they make a
mm-hmm.
mistake, right? And I think if you're gonna play the emotion game, you can't just assume that the coach's decision making is always purely logical without emotion and like correct because
Right.
it's coming from that position of authority or whatever. And like to me, reading whether it's reading the Slater article or previous things that were even worse offenders in the conversation about Jonathan Kuminga, it was always with that framing that like what Kerr says or does is a thing that has rationality behind it that is separate from emotion, or if he's experiencing emotion, he's experiencing frustration or anger or whatever because Kamiga did something that was like out of pocket. And it's
Mm-hmm.
not that. Like it's Kerr's also an emotional being. He's also a person with an ego. He's also trying to defend what he thinks is his legacy or his way to do things. Like we've all had those bosses, right? Like you've had a boss at work who's unnecessarily territorial and who thinks they know the only way to do things, and like you're probably like, okay, well, I'm the one actually doing it and I know that that's wrong, but yeah, go off, King. Like, just think whatever the fuck you want because you just have to be right because you can't have your authority challenged. Like that. that is an immature emotional response.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great point. Like the idea that, I mean, this is kind of the old boy, you got to look a certain way type of fallout. Like you not seeing his decision making as brash, as
Yeah,
impulsive, as egotistically driven. Like just see everything he does is strategically oriented and it's a part of him knowing how to win. He's literally said that on Tom Tolbert's show, like, I just know
yeah.
what a winning player looks like. He literally said that. That's a
That's an
quote.
insane thing to go unchallenged.
Yeah. And anyways, like to your point that we're all human, like basketball is a confidence sport. Shooting is a confidence game. Like
100%.
if you're in a situation where there's no confidence in you, you're not going to shoot as well as a situation where there is confidence in you. Like
Hmm.
just I'll stand by that. So I do think his shooting is going to improve, and I think he will spread the floor out there. I really do. I'm not for sure, but I have a feeling that might happen, you know. And I'm really excited to see it, man. I'm really excited to see Kuminga play over there.
Me too. Again, to your point, and to your article, your excellent article, like Kuminga's done it on the Warriors. It's not like
Right.
every time he's played on the Warriors, he's just been hyper selfish and never passed the ball. He has like a sneaky eye for really good passes. And so, I'm not going to act like there's never been, a bounce pass he's forced into the paint that didn't go well. But he'll also get blamed for them if like TJD fumbles his pass or something like that. They're like, oh, Kuminga trying to make something happen there. It's like, no, catch the ball. That's a layup. Like you see those
Yep.
things. Um,
I mean, that's the other thing. Kuminga being such a good passer, and the Warriors themselves have said we are. I remember was it Draymond said in his second year, like Draymond is or Kuminga's an underrated passer with the ball in his hands. He just doesn't have like Kuminga operating in the pick and roll is going to be nice. Like with
yeah.
Jalen Johnson on the pick and roll, attacking a little bit, and then passing to Kuminga as a secondary attacker from the perimeter. And cousin Andy has been making this point a lot that Kuminga's strength is actually attacking from the perimeter, not posting up the way the Warriors do it.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Warriors try to post him up, and it's like, dude, this guy's faster than anybody on the court. Like, get him going
You
downhill
you
in the
want
half
him with
court.
you want him playing the Giannis role more often
Hmm.
than not. Like you want the ball in his hands by half court. You want everybody moving and trying to settle in and being afraid that he's gonna explode by somebody. Even
Yep.
even if what he ends up doing is taking a mid-range jumper or moving back out to the
Right.
three-point line, right? Like the speed and the athleticism is a thing that you again routinely you're not allowing that to be a weapon if your Kuminga play is like go Jimmy Butler it like go with your back to the basket with 8 seconds in the clock or 6 seconds left in the clock, like on the high post and see if you can make something work. Like that's like yeah, he can score from that. He does find ways to be kind of shifty and kind of 1-2 step his way to the basket or something like that. But you really actually do want the ball in his hands to start the possession. I think that is winning basketball. It is utilizing his strengths. And to be this organization or this coach who's like, nah, like he's got to fit into my very narrow, outdated idea of what good basketball looks like is just like
Bro,
imagine having sharp knives in your kitchen and you're like, nah, I'm gonna use the dull one. It's crazy.
I
Like, what are you
mean,
doing?
is Podjemski the butter knife in that? No,
He's
Podjemski's like he's the spoon. He's like, let
He's
me
the
use this
spoon. You're
spoon
trying to
to
cut with the spoon. We got this motherfucking Jonathan Kuminga Ginsu shuts fucking cuts the paper first attempt knife out here.
Kuminga's a motherfucking laser, dude. He's a lightsaber just sitting there, and you're over here. Let me use this spoon
Let
to
me
cut
use
this
this
bread.
spoon. Thinking you're beating the Matrix. Get out of here, man. Get out of here.
Man, bro, can you imagine Kuminga getting not just on the three pointers, but a green light to take step back
Mm-hmm.
fadeaways, like to do a dribble
Mid-range
drive,
step
and we've
backs, yeah.
seen him make that shot when he's had to against the shot clock.
Yeah.
Like this is always like downstream effects. Like Kuminga gets hated on for the dribble turnovers that he makes a lot, right? And he does make a lot, but I know it's because the defense is aware that he's not allowed to take step backs the way
Yeah.
everybody in the NBA does.
Yeah, because the
And
Warriors are actually scouted and they don't scout other teams.
right. And he's not allowed to use his fadeaway, like his leaning shot, which I think Evan, it's going to be like, you know how some
So
players are
clutch, yeah.
better at shooting the kind of leaning fadeaway shot than they are just a regular jump shot.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be him. And I think if he gets the freedom to take that step back, that means the defense is going to have to start playing him for that. And that is going to open up just
He's gonna have so many
incredible
passes
driving
off of that.
lanes. Yep.
He's gonna have so many. One, no, I agree with you. One, he's gonna have driving lanes because they're gonna overcommit to some like little shimmy he does or whatever, thinking
Hmm.
that here comes the step back or the fadeaway. But two, he's gonna be able to pass out of it a ton, and he's gonna open up cutting lanes for his teammates as well, or the 3-pointer. Um, so this brings me to a thing that I really want to highlight to people. Um, And I was going to mention it earlier when we were talking about the Light Years pod guys and Sam. I think pods is better than all these other people. Who was it? Not was it Cam Thomas? He said I think pods is better than
No, he
from Light
said
Years.
Pods, Lightyear's podcast said that Pods is better than um
No, Cade. It was Cade Cunningham.
Kay Cunningham, right?
Yeah. Oh God, craziness. Um, but like, okay, one of the things I learned when I was really heavily watching football. Um, For those who don't know, there was a while, like 10 years back, where I was very aggressively watching football and I was writing. I was covering the Oakland Raiders and also a little bit of the Niners at the time. And I was doing very like deep dive game analysis. I would watch every game 3 times. I would watch the live broadcast. I would watch a condensed version and I would watch the coaches film with the all 22 so you could see everybody on the court at the same time. And thing you have to learn when you're watching is you don't watch the ball. You can infer what's going on with the ball, but you need to be watching what's going on with the other players on the court. When I watch football, I start every possession or every play. I watch what's going on the offensive and defensive lines. You could see runner pass. You could see how many people are in the box. You could see what the offense is doing to block. You can see who's bailing from the pressure, etc., or who's joining, right? And then I work my way out and I say, okay, what's going on in the backfield? What's going on with the linebackers and all that? And you can see the holes where things open up in the defense, and you can see how the defense is adjusting, and you'll know where the ball is going to go based on looking at like where the gaps are. Oh, the quarterback's going to see that there's somebody open in the flat because these guys are heavily covered. Here comes the running back. There goes the pass, right? Same thing applies in basketball. If you're just watching the ball as it bounces around from player to player, you're not seeing the play develop. And I think a lot of these guys who, are in between cooking dinner for the kids or doing whatever, they're half watching the game. I
Yep.
think a lot of it is that they're just watching the ball. And so if all you see is the ball bounce, bounce, like pass, 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 Steph Curry comes off 2 screens, gets it, and does the shot, you're like, oh, this is good basketball. But if you look off of the ball and you see that the defense isn't paying attention to anybody else who has the ball, and 3 people are just following Steph Curry around the whole time, then you're like, oh, maybe this offense isn't working that well. And I know I'm saying this like it's mind blowing. It's not that mind blowing. You guys are probably smarter than I'm giving everybody credit for, and maybe you do this already. But like, it is a really important thing to do throughout the game to look at what both teams are doing away from the ball over and over again. And
Yep.
that's how you'll see all these situations where if it looks like Kuminga didn't block a shot on defense or was late to come to a rotation on defense, but earlier in the possession, he's telling Pajimski to get over there, and his guy's being run off this way, and he's like, hey, 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 you need to slide down to cover this, and then that guy doesn't cover that, and they get by him, and then Kuminga has to come over. that's a different thing than just seeing the ball go here, 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 come and then like drive toward the lane and Kuminga's late in the rotation. Like that's a completely different understanding of what's going on. So like pay attention to what's going on off the ball, on offense and on defense, and then start to evaluate players through that. You see missed passes, you see missed rotations, you see people trying to get ahead of things, you see who the defense is paying attention to and whatnot. And in the broadcast, you're never gonna miss a scoring play because anything that's a good scoring play, you're just gonna get the replay on, and you also can't like not see it because you can see everybody on the court at the same time.
Right. One of my favorite Fitz moments was Kuminga was dribbling into a post up, and then he's screaming at him, "Just drive into the paint! Why won't you drive into the paint?" And Kevon Looney was standing at the free throw line, and
Hmm.
Kevon Looney's man was soft doubling Kuminga off the
Kuminga, yeah, yeah.
dribble, just waiting
He
for
was on the top
Kuminga.
of the circle. I know what
Yep,
you're talking about. Yeah.
just waiting for Kuminga to drive into the lane to double team him. So, like the idea that you would do like drive into the lane, get doubled, and be able to pass to Kevon Looney is insane. It's actually a much better shot to take the baseline
For you to
fadeaway
take the fadeaway. Yeah.
away from it, which he made, and then Fitz just doubled down on it. And it's to your point about like literally not watching 3 feet away from the action.
Yeah. It's
You know?
nuts, man. I feel like so much of just like the easy, lazy commentary comes from that. And then, you got to track patterns. If there's a pattern that you're seeing, think about why it's happening. Look what happens before and after. Look what's happening away from it. That's
Yep.
that's reinforcing this pattern. Like things, this is a 5-on-5 sport. Things don't happen in isolation. If you're looking at Pajemski lead the team in plus minus, it's not because he's the best player on the team. It's because he's playing with the best players and he's playing in the best situations. And so think about what that means, right? Like there's just no, there aren't single metrics to make a decision about somebody's performance. And that includes just what they do when they're on the ball, whether it's on defense or offense.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Someone in the chat said um Pot or Touch of Madness said Pod's high rebound numbers decoded, barely boxes out and immediately runs to the rim while the rest battles fours and fives. Pod's being a great rebounder is the one of the biggest misnomers in the NBA. Like Pods is a bad rebounder and he consistently, I mean, Evan, to talk about like people don't watch off the ball, like another level of that
Yeah.
is not understanding the counterfactual, the negative case, the thing that didn't happen.
Great point.
And like all the times Pods goes for an offensive rebound and doesn't get it, and the other team is just in semi-transition with Pods
Yeah, and
behind the
he's behind the
play.
play. Yeah.
Like that doesn't get called out. That's bad. That's bad. That's really, really bad. Or he does get back, but because he was late, now there's a mismatch. And Kevon Looney is guarding a guard and he's guarding a big. Like,
Yeah.
and he's not able to box that big out, and then people are like, well, what is he supposed to do against this big guy? But they don't look at the play before the play, like what happened.
Great point.
It also isn't taking into the fact of like, what would the rebounding be like if that was Moses Moody playing at the two guard instead of him,
Yeah. Or
right?
Kuminga.
Or
I mean,
Kuminga.
the things that we would constantly point back to is it would be like, oh yeah, if you look at Kuminga's rebounding per game, it's only like 4 or 5, whereas Pajemski's was, closer to 7 or something like that. And then you look at minutes per game, and it's like Pajemski at like 28 minutes per game and Kuminga at 14. And so if like track it back to per 36, then Kuminga's right there with Pods, if not higher, in a lot of
I,
these situations.
I
And it's
mean,
just like,
Kuminga's per 35-minute rebounding numbers were like some of the were perfectly great in this league, but like what would he be averaging if he was getting
if he was
28
getting
to 30
30
minutes a
minutes,
night?
yeah.
7 rebounds a game? I mean, come
Wild.
on, man.
Wild.
Ridiculous, dude. It's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous.
But yeah, I mean, to the listener's point, like I think a lot of, and this is part of why I entertain the idea of the Steve Kerr sabotage mental exercise, because if you watch Brandon Pujemski play basketball, so many of his stats are like empty calories. You know, so many of the like quote unquote hustle plays that he gets credit
I
for,
know, man.
like where
Dude,
he launches himself into the crowd to quote unquote like run a three-pointer off the line, like a three-point shooter off the line who just pump fakes or does a slight sidestep while maintaining their dribble, and then now it's a 5v4 and Pujemski's like picking up somebody's spilled drink while like the other team is just like, cool, I have a free shot for three right now, or the Warriors have to panic cover and now we get, you know, an easy layup or something like that. Like these things aren't good plays. Like I know he's working hard. Like yeah, that's what happens when you're tiny. You have to take a lot more steps to cover the ground and you have to jump really hard to challenge the shot that like the 6'7" guy doesn't have to work that hard to do. But it's not, if the end effect is a negative effect on the gameplay, that's not a good stat. Like that's not, it's not a
right.
win.
It's not a win. And it's so funny what our perspective we're saying now is so contrarian to what's out there. Because what's out there is he makes all the winning plays and JK has the empty stats. It's
Uh-huh.
literally the opposite.
Tim Tebow, man.
It-
Get out of here.
Yeah, man.
Oh God.
Anyways, anything else you wanted to touch on before we go?
Let's see, let's see. Let me run through my list. No, I think we're good. I think we're good. You know, the only, yeah, I mean, there was some Kawakami talk maybe, but you know, because Kawakami had that post. Look, I think for somebody who is online as much as he is, Tim Kawakami has weirdly thin skin, and he responds to criticism on social media the way like a 10-year-old does, by getting immediately hyper dramatic to the farthest degree. And one of his, you know, a lot of his comments will be like, "You're right. I'm bad. I'm the worst part of this whole thing. Like I'm responsible for it
It's
all,
all my
whatever." And it's
fault. It's all
like,
my fault.
it's all my fault. It's all my fault. And it's like, dude, just engage with the question. It's okay. But one of the things he said recently was like, "Hey, there's actually never been a time I've said anything about Kuminga except for that he's like a very talented player." And it was one of those things that just rung very untrue to me. But like in a way that somebody in the media can be careful about their language so it's not like an overt lie, but it is still a half truth, right? Like if your commentary about Kuminga is again, oh yeah, you know, I asked people around the league and like the consensus is that he's a bench player. He's a bench role player at best, blah 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 blah. And you don't challenge that. You don't question that. You don't even just like perform some kind of analysis on that. Like you're co-signing that, right? And then if somebody else says like, "Hey, turns out we think Kuminga's performance in Minnesota in the playoffs shows that he's somebody who deserves a starting role on this team," and the first thing you do is challenge that, and the first thing you do is go, "Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know about all that. I don't know about that," right? Like the way you move around narratives and the things that you let slide and the things that you do kind of attack or poke holes in or whatever, like that, it's clear, right? It's clear that you're either you think Kuminga's not a very good player, or you are towing the company line that he's not good enough to deserve more minutes than Steve Kerr is willing to give him at any given time. And so I just think it's just like a mischaracterization of what his stance and his
Mm.
behavior has been with regards to Kuminga in this whole saga. But that's all I got, man.
Yeah. What a disaster, man. What a disaster. It's ending the same way Kobe Bryant's did. The only thing that hasn't happened is an Achilles injury for
The
the
huge
star player.
injury. Yeah.
It's the same thing. Andrew Bynum shipped out, could have extended
Great
Kobe's
point.
career.
Yep.
Kobe going down, them doubling down on age, getting in Steve
Hmm.
Nash, uh,
Oh,
making
and
the
Steve
eighth
Nash was
seed.
41 at the time too.
Yeah, it's the same thing. And they're just selling tickets. They're selling the Light Years crowd, the Hamza crowd. They're just
Poor Hamza.
they're just into it, man. They're just loving, oh, maybe we have a chance. What if we make it, if we get out of the first round, are you gonna say you're wrong, Armando? It's like,
No.
no. They're just selling you tickets, man. Come on.
Yeah, it's
Anyways,
tough. I
yeah,
do think given given the dysfunction between lack of leadership and or um the commitment to loser ball, to injury ball, right? That exists in this organization. We're at the threshold point of whether is this an organization that just got lucky by drafting Stephen Curry
yeah,
and and Draymond and Clay, but those are very good players that aren't franchise changing players.
right.
Steph Curry's a franchise changing player. So are you lucky or are you a good organization? And I think if you're a good organization, you have to do what the Niners did, and you have to clean house. And it'll be not just fire Steve Kerr, but it'll be fire Steve Kerr and Dunleavy, and not just because Dunleavy's on Kerr's side or has been there, but because it's you gotta reset the culture. You have to fully reset the culture
Yep.
of this organization, and so you got to get everybody out. You got to bring in a new team who's fully aligned, and through that say like, hey, here's what the culture of this organization is going to be going forward.
Hmm.
We want to prioritize winning, and we don't want to prioritize winning one way. We want to win however we need to win with regards to the current state of the league. Sometimes that's going to mean firing coaches, sometimes that's going to mean trading players, but sometimes it's going to mean getting developing players and paying people who deserve to be paid and things like that. Like it's
Right.
not just well, this thing worked out for us 10 years ago, so we got to keep trying to do the same thing, but like a worse version of it. You can't do that.
Yeah, I mean, I when I wrote the comparing this Steph Curry era to the Kobe Bryant era, that Kobe Bryant and Andrew Bynum to um uh Jonathan Kuminga as where this was going, the alternative I wrote about was the Indiana Pacers in 2005 before the Malice in the Palace,
Yeah.
when Reggie Miller was about 37, 38, and his usage rate dropped like 10 percentage points when they brought
Oh
in
yeah.
Jermaine O'Neal, who was, by the way, a 18, 19-year-old, 20-year-old guy sitting on the amazing Portland Trailblazers, not playing behind Rasheed Wallace and Brian Grant. And
Yeah.
they traded him for Dale Davis, who was a veteran, and that never went anywhere for they became the Jailblazers. But that like Jermaine O'Neal literally became in the East,
Became the
uh
franchise player.
yeah, like a fourth, I think he won fourth in MVP voting like the next year. And they had Ron Artest, and Reggie Miller was still like the fourth quarter killer. And
Yeah.
dude, like Reggie Miller was gonna, as like a third option, he was gonna win a championship late in his career, and then the Malice in the Palace happened.
Yeah.
And like that's where this could have gone, is what I'm saying, what I was rooting for to
What you would
happen,
have
but they
wanted.
they didn't, yeah, they didn't have the coaching to get that done. They didn't, and
Agreed.
Steph Curry didn't have the vision to get it done. It was him wanting to win his way and be the guy, be the guy.
The thing is too, I don't even think that you get like that narrative doesn't you can't have that narrative and do what you're asking, right? You can still have a team where Kuminga plays 30 minutes a game. Even like let's even wind it forward like after Jimmy Butler, like play him with Jimmy. You could have a team where you have Kuminga and Jimmy and Draymond and Curry on the floor at the same time. You could let them carry the load for most of the game. You could let Steph blow up in the fourth quarters with or not even just like just fourth quarters, but I mean being the second or third option within the offense throughout the game where he's naturally going to get points, right? So he gets 15 points through 1 through 3 quarters and then gets 10 points in the fourth quarter. He's scoring now like 25 to 28, 25, 26 a game or like, and you're going to get a team, deep in the playoffs and everyone's still going to think it's Steph Curry's team. No one's going to be like, oh, this is Kuminga's team. And like, thank God Kuminga's scoring, 20, 22 a game consistently or 18 to 22 or whatever it is. They're going to be like, yeah, when the clutch plays need to happen, they go to Curry and Curry doesn't have to work as hard during the whole game, every possession, all the
Yep.
time, and it would extend his career, man. It's what you've said about the Spurs twice with Duncan, and with Ginobili and Tony Parker, and then with Kawhi. It's just like, man, there's something there's something that elevates Tim Duncan so much for being willing to be that player. As somebody who came in and was that player to David Robinson, by the way.
Yep.
Like he saw it happen. I'm the new young hot shit. The
Right.
vet was like, "Hey, we got to run it through this guy. Let me be secondary to him." And no one's
Right.
shading David Robinson. David Robinson's still an all-time legend, right? And then he did it twice and got his fifth ring. So, fuck, it would be so nice. It'd be so nice.
Ridiculous.
And
That.
none of this is a statement on Curry's talent, at least in my opinion. Like I know we slightly differ on that, but I think it would only seek to improve Curry's legacy.
Oh, definitely would have. If he would have been the guy that elevated Jonathan Kuminga to win another title, a fifth title, and like, you know, Tim Duncan gets equal share for that fourth title that he got or whatever. It's
Totally.
not like,
Fourth and fifth.
yeah, I mean, it ain't like that. So I think, yeah, cousin Andres is in the chat egging me on, but there's a whole nother level here to critique Curry the whole career. And but we'll save that. But I do want to talk about eventually. Not well, I got to get going, but Curry's shoe contract.
Ooh,
I
yeah,
don't think
that's
there's
a
a fucking chance that Nike signs him like everybody thinks. He's not selling shit. Steph Curry's not cool, and he's on a loser ass team. So
wow,
why would anybody sign him? He's
wow,
never sold shoes. Like it ain't
wow.
like that. Like Ant-Man is cool. Like
All
that's where
right,
this whole thing with the Warriors is fuck. They don't know what cool is, man. They don't know. They're actually just
they definitely don't know what cool is.
right,
100% they don't know.
right.
100%. That is exactly in line with the Bay Area tech crowd thinking they're like so on the cutting edge of culture when it's just like,
Yep,
dude, no, you guys are actually super cringe and you don't realize it. And if you just chilled the fuck out and like let the world guide you instead of you trying to guide the world, it would be a different story. Oh,
right.
okay, okay. That is a cliffhanger for a different time, my friend, before we get into that. Because there's a
Oh,
long
next
sneaker
video,
Under
next
Armour culture.
next video, Evan. Is
All
Steph
right.
Curry cool?
Oh God. So we've had is Steph Curry a house Negro and is Steph Curry cool in the same conversation? Can we not do this, my man?
Hey man, you did it, not me.
Hey, 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 hey,
Good
hey,
luck with
hey.
that.
Okay, okay. You could direct the hate mail to kerr@warriors.com. That's where I will respond.
Right on.
All
All
right,
right, Evan.
friends.
Yep. I'll
Great to
talk to
talk
you
to
later,
you.
man.